only one cats ask for by name.
Hey folks, welcome back to the podcast. It's your boy D, and this is episode 25, State of the Emergency, Surviving Hurricane Ian. That's right. My wife and I just rode out Hurricane Ian here in the Sunshine State. But for the past few days, it's been anything but sunshine. A lot of things have taken place. I am today going to change the format this week and kind of drop the other segments so that I can talk about, the experience of, this tragedy. Let's just go ahead and call it what it is, this tragedy. I don't know what to say, sometimes. And there are a lot of emotions that I'm feeling because I have some very dear people down in Fort Myers where I guess they really kind of took the brunt of the of Ian. And my buddy, my best friend, the reason I do this podcast, he was affected by this podcast. By this storm. He and his wife rode it out on the 5th floor of their apartment building, and they did lose power. But on the 5th floor, they had water actually come into their apartment. And it flooded, or they got some substantial water damage to the ceiling, their ceiling. They're on the 5th floor, but there's another floor that was above that. And their floor they got some ceiling water damage. The ceiling kind of, fell through. So that means that the apartment upstairs, they must have, they must have really, took a pounding up there. He sent me some videos of, a couple of things. The beginning of what they were going through was a lot of wind, some rain. They seemed, pretty optimistic about it. And, it was, of course, it was still perilous. And, I've been through several hurricanes, but, quickly it turned into something I'd never seen before. In 2018, I was in Orlando for Hurricane Michael, and I lost power for 7 days. And it was eye-opening. It was humbling. Really humbling. We straight up lost power for 7 days, and it wasn't fun. So. But to continue, they sent me a couple of videos of, there was one video in particular that they sent me that really just kind of, it made me, I don't know how it made me feel. It made me feel angry. I felt angry behind this particular video. Now, what I saw, and it was a guy. The river, they live on the river in Fort Myers. There's a big river there, wide river, the Klusassee, and they live on the river. And the water, the storm surge had already, flooded the parking lot downstairs from their apartment. The grassy area down that the people usually walk their dogs in. That was filled with water. You couldn't even tell that there was grass there. And the waves were just, you couldn't imagine. The waves were crazy I couldn't imagine being there, and he was right there. So his wife, Allison, she took a video of a guy in the middle of the Caloosahatchee River on a jet ski screaming for help. Did you hear what I just said? In the middle of one of the top 5 storms to ever hit this state, there's some guy out in the middle of the Caloosahatchee River on a jet ski yelling for help. I mean, what are you doing out there, man? I mean, what the hell are you doing out there? I mean, what are you thinking? You're going to be cool and go surf, jet ski some waves? That's ridiculous, man. I'm going to go move my jet ski to try and save it. You should have done that days before. I want to say that I just have no compassion for people like that, but I can't say that because I actually do. I feel for that. One thing I really don't like is seeing other people suffer. I don't dig that at all. I don't like seeing people suffer. I don't like seeing people hurt or any of that. I just don't like it. You know what I'm saying? And to see this video where this guy obviously, was in the perils and, most certainly in probably one of the most life and death situations, one of the most scariest, the scary situations you could ever be in. I mean, being shot is one thing, but you're in the middle of a river, in the middle of a hurricane, on a jet ski. Wow. That's crazy. That's the craziest shit. That's crazy. That's some ballsy shit right there. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of people who, they go out during hurricanes. They go out. People have hurricane parties. People have parties to hurricane, and okay, cool. I mean, but there's a lot of people who have nothing to party about. My buddy lost his car. All the cars in his parking lot moved into a corner in the parking lot, and they were all touching each other because they all floated there. Their apartment is, for lack of a better word, destroyed. How are they going to sleep? The lanai of the guy upstairs got all torn to shit. He sent me a video that was very, very, it was very scary to me. It was very chilling to me because, man, I remember it from, like I said, I was in Hurricane Michael, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but it was a time when we lost power, and all you heard was the wind howling and whistling and growling, and it was just ominous. It was menacing. You totally felt like at any moment you could be swept away from here. The roof could come off your house and you could be swept away. It's crazy. It is very, 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 very eye-opening. So, a lot of people, man, my wife and I, we sat here and we watched a lot of, for one, you just couldn't tell. You couldn't tell what was happening. We turn on the TV, it's coming right at us. I am in a small town in North Florida, and for the next few months, I guess, we are in Lake City, Florida, which is I'm in Columbia County, which is at the top of Florida, a couple of counties to the left from Jacksonville, from Duval County. And, there's, I'll tell you what, it's crazy. It was crazy because at first it looked like it was coming directly at us. But it kept shifting, and then a couple of more hours. Oh, it shifted to the east a little bit, and then it was going down the coast. And my stepson lives in St. Petersburg, where my wife and I used to live, and we were very concerned about him. And he decided that he was going to try and shelter in place. Which we were kind of we were worried, for lack of a better phrase. She was a nervous wreck that her son was down there with this storm coming towards him. And, she had at one point, was very upset about it. And, I living in St. Petersburg, I'll go ahead and tell you, if that would have hit St. Petersburg, Florida, I'm sorry. St. Petersburg, Pinellas County, it would have wiped it off the map. It would have crushed it. It would have crushed it. The whole thing probably would have flooded. The storm surge in Fort Myers, if you didn't hear about it, was 7.5 feet. We watched Fort Myers Beach. We watched footage of Fort Myers Beach. We watched, I guess there was a trailer, like a foreman's trailer out on a construction site that came loose and started floating down the road. They found a guy in a boat on the top of some mangroves, trapped in some mangroves. Crazy. I have a friend that has a specialty food store downtown Fort Myers. I have some, a lot of friends from Fort Myers. I lived there briefly, for a little bit. Excuse me, but I made some really good friends down there. I had some really good connections, and it's kind of it's sad to see them have to go through this. There was my buddy actually that took the damage in Fort Myers was in several other hurricanes that hit Fort Myers. There was one year, I was living in New York at the time. There was one year I was on the phone with him. It was like 3 hurricanes in a row that hit him hit Fort Myers smack dab, bam, 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 3 hurricanes in a row. But nothing like this. I've seen nothing like this. Catastrophic devastation. Just loss of life like you wouldn't even, I don't know any kind of exact death toll, but I'm sure it's going to, 200 people on Sanibel Island didn't evacuate, and Sanibel got rocked, almost destroyed completely. So, the causeway leading to Sanibel Island collapsed. It blew some shit down, man. It blew, concrete buildings. Blew it down. There was a car on the top of a lift, like you would go get your oil change. There was a car on top of a lift, but the building was gone. Just nothing like you'd ever seen. Crazy business. Now, like I said, back in 2018, I was in Hurricane. I sheltered in place in Orlando. Hi. Sorry, folks. My dog's back there snoring. Snores like a grown-ass man, but I decided to shelter in place in Orlando, and we got crushed. Absolutely crushed. We got crushed. And it was scary. It was probably one of the most scary things. I was in a pretty solid house too. But it was one of the most frightening experiences. And I've been through several hurricanes. I really have. I've lived in Florida a long time, several times. So I've experienced several hurricanes. No kidding. And, I had thought Michael was, I guess because it was right over us and it just rocked. It just kicked our ass. And, like I said, we lost power for 7 days, but for those 7 days, it was primitive living. I went out and tried to find water. I had to drive. I drove 100 miles that day to find some water to get back because, it just got, water and toilet paper, water and toilet paper. Toilet paper. Water and toilet paper. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's, you can't stop them. And they destroy a lot of things. And my son and my sister-in-law, my father, and one of my sisters, and a bunch of my cousins, they all live in the same area. They live in Orlando. And Orlando, they got creamed again. At a Category 1. But I couldn't imagine what it must have been like for a Category 4 to just watch that roll in and devastate everything in its path. I can't imagine what that must have been like. I kind of can because I was on a lake, but yeah. I watched Michael come in and we hunkered down, and it kicked our ass, and we lost the power, and we sat there and watched the lightning and thunder, and went outside during the eye for a couple of seconds and right back in the house. Luckily, I watched my car from the window, but it didn't take any damage. I got blessed. But it just got to the point where it was like, hey, man, all right, just call everybody you love and tell them peace out. But I was, my wife and I were both just kind of, my wife is from Chicago, and she'd never really kind of, been through anything this large. She's been through hurricane, but nothing like this, nothing to this magnitude. So she had a lot of anxiety. She was afraid of a lot. And to be honest with you, right now, we're still getting winds, that are associated. I'm sorry, folks, if I'm wheezing. I caught a cold. I caught a little chest and head cold. So if I'm wheezing or something like that, I apologize. But, we just got, where I'm at, in Lake City, we got blessed. We really did. Now, my wife and I, if you guys don't realize, my wife and I, we live full-time in a motorhome. Yeah, not a mobile home, not even a mobile home, a motorhome. And they say at tropical storm force winds, which I believe is like something like 45 to like 75 or something like that, tropical storm force winds, that you should leave a mobile home. You should leave. And we live in a motorhome, in a motorhome park. There are no mobile homes here. I think there's 2 mobile homes here. But the rest of them are fifth wheels and Class A's. Wild business. So it was wild because, as it was shifting towards us, as it was coming towards us, my wife and I were like, what are we going to do? And immediately we were like, you know what? We're leaving. We're going to pack this shit up and we're going to leave. Excuse me. We're going to pack this shit up and we're going to get the fuck out of here. If it's going to hit us at category whatever, because at that time they were saying it was going to hit like a category 3 and like around, Siesta Key or Cedar Key, something like that, up in the Big Bend or the armpit of Florida. They said it was going to, come in at like category 3, it's going to be major devastation. So me and my wife were like, listen, we need to drive someplace like Pensacola. We were thinking going to just driving to Pensacola. But the thing that occurred to me is that we actually had that option. We did not have to shelter in place. We could just crank the house up crank our house, our entire house, everything's in here, and leave. And leave. And we thought about it. But my mom is, she prays a lot, and I love her for that, because I do believe it works, because it kept going to the east, 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 and we got spared. We asked the other people in the park, hey man, are you staying or are you going? Everybody asked, oh, we're staying. But a few people, we did notice that they left. But some other people were like, yeah, man, we're staying. We're not going nowhere. We're staying right here. Stuff that was smaller than ours. And I thought to myself, my God, if it had actually hit here, this place would be destroyed. And these people here would probably not be here. I mean, I don't know if you can hear it, but hold on, let me see. It's let me go ahead and open the window. Yeah, I'm still getting, some just some winds about 30 miles an hour, but I am getting some pretty serious gusts still. And come on, man, what is this bullshit? Anyway, gotta lock the window. I do my podcast from the passenger seat in my motorhome, so I have access to a window that I can kind of look out and see what's going on. But we did notice, as we sat here, we noticed all the people in RVs that actually came up and kept going. They like it was a bunch of people that would come for the night and then they would leave. They would come for the night and then they would leave. They would come for the night and then they would leave. And those were the people that obviously were evacuating from, southern Florida, South Florida. But we did have a friend of ours that also has a motorhome. Actually, he was our neighbor in the apartment that we lived in St. Petersburg. He was our neighbor across the hall. And like I said in a previous podcast, that we had inspired them to do the same thing that we did. So they went and bought a motorhome as well. And they decided that they were going to station themselves in Claremont, which is close to Orlando. And I kept in touch with him, and he just informed me, that as things got bad and what his coach was able to withstand. He said his coach, I'm not sure what they got. I know it's a 2017 something, but it's a Class A. And he told me that it would withstand winds from, I think 115 to 135 or something like that, something crazy like that. And I know ours won't. We only have a 30 foot, so I know. But I learned some things also about evacuating in a motorhome. I learned that it is probably it's more dangerous to be driving when there's heavy gusts than to be stationary. And I can kind of almost understand why. So it's imperative to kind of know and have a plan when things like this happen. And I would notice something about natural disasters. I noticed something about all natural disasters is that you don't know when the fuck they're coming. One minute everything's peachy. The next thing, they come out of nowhere. Everything except for a hurricane. You can see them form. You watch them come on shore. Everything is unpredictable, but you don't know. You don't know when there's going to be an earthquake. You don't know when there's going to be a tornado. You don't know when there's going to be a landslide. We don't know when there's going to be a tsunami. We don't know when there's going to be a forest fire. We can't tell. Whoa, the coach is rocking a little bit. We can't tell. We can't tell what's going to happen. But a hurricane, you can. It's the weather. We have people who report the weather. And you can make a plan. And it's crazy to me how some people either they're blessed by God or have some sort of premonition. They just know we're going to stick it out. But other people aren't as fortunate. You know, my son was in Orlando, and, you know, I was scared shitless. You know, not only my son, but my dad and my sister as well, but my son and my sister-in-law, but my son, if I had to, I would have went and got him in the middle of the hurricane. I don't care. Tropical storm, forest wind, I don't care. I'd have to go get him. I'd just have to do it. And I think a lot of people did that also, tried to rescue their loved ones or tried to, you know, get their loved ones to you know, not be there for it. But a lot of people decided to stay. You know, and my heart goes out to those people. Anybody listening to this podcast that has sustained some damage, you know, significant amount of damage, whether it be significant or small, any kind of loss, my heart goes out to you. And I really think that in the future, we just need better planning. You're listening to the Deron Harris Podcast. I'm going to take a quick, fast break, and I'll be right back.
Turning my pain into purpose is pretty much what I have done to start this foundation.
In August 2020, after the death of George Floyd, Bridget Floyd and other family members established the George Floyd Memorial Foundation in support of the Black community.
It's going to take more than just us as a foundation. It's going to take the community, the world, to make a change.
Fight for racial justice for the Black community. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Hey folks, welcome back to the program. It's your boy D talking about surviving Hurricane Ian and our experiences that we went through in our motorhome and everything that we saw leading up to the actual event. So, talking to my friends, I had some friends up here where I was at. I reached out to everybody and made sure everybody was safe. But another one of my absolute best friends was in Valrico, which is on the other side of Tampa, and they saw some, but they didn't see, you know, like Orlando. And he let me know that they were okay. His mother is up in Ponte Vedra, which is in Jacksonville, but he let me know that she was okay. And you know, everybody that's around here, my mother, all of us, we are fine. But the people in South Florida aren't. They are without power. They said something like a couple million people, 2.5 million people without power, which brings me to my next, my next train of thought, which is the linemen. Like all the linemen that came, there were thousands here. Lake City was like a hub. The governor came here and spoke. And God bless those men. Leaving their families, traversing from multiple states. I saw license plates on the back of them things from everywhere. You know, business names from on the side, from every lineman from everywhere came here. You know, God bless these people, man. Because that's a rough job too. That's a dangerous job too, to try to get the power restored. You know, sometimes in flood zones where there's, you know, crazy amounts of water and they're working around electricity, man, it's crazy. They risk their lives as well. You know, shout out to all the first responders that went out and, you know, all the search and rescue folks that went out and started, you know, looking for people. You know, shout out to those people. You know, being a lineman, that's just a crazy profession to begin with. You know what I mean? Just to, playing with, that much voltage, on a daily basis when you go to work. What are we doing today? We're doing this. And it involves, 100 million volts of electricity. And I'm sorry. I can't be doing shit like that. But somebody has to. Those men are a special breed of person. So, God bless y'all. And like I said, God bless all the first responders and, the hospitals, that are, obviously taking, people in. People that want to do nice. People, my wife wants to, she's donating. She's donating to charity for the victims because it's the right thing to do. And if you were listening to my podcast, that's, that'd be a good thing for you to do, is help these people because they definitely need some help. They definitely need some help. They got rocked. Fort Myers got destroyed. And it cut a path right through the state. They thought it was going to come straight up, though. We all thought it was going to land down here and come straight up to us. And we got ready and we were about to leave. We cleaned out the black tank, which is where you keep the poo-poo. But we cleaned out the black tank, turned the propane off and, turned the pilot out, got everything. And we were ready to leave. We broke it down, I think, in like a half an hour, like 25 minutes. Broke it all the way down. Bing, bing, bing. Ready to go. But then we decided to go to my mother's because I made some peanut butter Rice Krispie treats the night before over there at my mom's house for a snack. So we would have snacks when we were driving. But we went over there. My mom had the news on, and we watched the news and saw that it had shifted a little bit more. So, we started doing a little bit more thinking about whether or not we were going to shelter in place, which we actually did. Now, let me tell you, we still got the wind. We didn't get Cat 5 strength, but we got hurricane force winds. Winds in excess of, we got about 50 miles per hour in certain cases and gusts up to 65 in a motorhome. And I will tell you, and we're under like 3 massive oak trees. And I was paranoid all night long that the wind was going to snap one of these trees and, land on my coach and the people behind us. I thought it was going to be devastating. But nothing happened. Nothing happened. The wind blew a lot. And it cooled off a lot. It's very cool here now. It's officially fall. It's supposed to go up to like 83 this week, but no more 90s. About to be the high 70s, and it'll probably go down from there. So, but I don't know what to say, man. I keep thinking about the people down in Fort Myers and what are they doing? My buddy actually did get their power back, but he told me downtown Fort Myers was destroyed. They had a crazy storm surge, and because all that shit is right on the river. So I'm assuming that, Fort Myers just got flooded all the way down the Caloosahatchee. Cape Coral took a beating. Sanibel Island took a beating. Naples got rocked a little bit. They got some damage a little bit. The pier in Fort Myers lost the building that was on it. Gone. Just shit you can't believe. But my wife and I had a plan. We had a plan. And I'm thankful for that because we sat down and thought about what we would actually do. Now, if this was going to happen, what are we going to actually do? What do we have to get? And the 2 days before that, I spent all day organizing everything in the RV. Everything in the bathroom I put it in some sort of modular container so that it would not fall. Same thing with the clothes. We took all the glass except for the wine. We kept the excuse me. We kept the liquor and the wine, but we took like the regular glasses, like glass, to my mother's house, so it wouldn't be damaged. But we didn't even drink any wine. We didn't drink any wine. We just listened to the hurricane, and we talked, and we prayed, and we got clear on a lot of things. We got clear on a lot of things, and I will never be that unprepared. Well, we were prepared, but I vowed to be more prepared than that. I want to be able to, I have a house that moves. So, I want to be able to, take my mother. My mother was just, she was stubborn about it, but I'm going to have to, hit her with some chloroform to get her on the coach to drag her out of here, because she wasn't going nowhere. I'm staying. Oh, I'm going to stay. Well, you can't stay here through a, Cat 4 hurricane. Oh, I'm going to stay. I'll be all right. I have favor with the Lord, and I guess she does. So. I've been through I've been through a couple blizzards also, which is basically a hurricane, but in the snow. But, blizzards are kind of nice. It's just fluffy snow. It's pretty. And then the next day when you go outside, there's all this pristine white snow. It's beautiful. A blizzard. But a hurricane, not so much luck. Not so much luck. Even though it is a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing to see. And it's a humbling thing to see nature, Mother Nature at its, it makes me feel, at least me, feel like we ain't shit. This is what it is right here. This is what it is. Mother Nature is awesome. It is awesome. Shows you a bunch of respect. I have nothing but respect for the weather. Nothing but respect for nature, the things in nature. And that is a natural thing. That's a natural thing. And my voice is giving out. It's late. And because of that, because of the nature of it, I guess that would be right. The nature of this natural thing just makes me, regardless of how destructive it is, it just makes me love, being alive even more. To be able to witness and survive something with that magnitude. So, I think that is, I think this hurricane taught a lot of people some things. Because, there's always some people, who survive her. Oh, it wasn't that bad. I told you it wasn't that bad. Yeah. It was for other people, though. It was for other people. Some people didn't make it. So in that, I'm never one of those guys that, blows off something like that. And nor do I blow off somebody's, well wishes. There's plenty of people who are shitty to people for even suggesting that they try and, get out or get some, leave, or, no, what are you, crazy? I'm not going nowhere. This place is, what are you, that's nuts. All kinds of stuff. People down that right sometimes get disrespectful about it, but you got to try. And also, people make their own decisions. They make their own beds. They got to lie in them. Simple as that. So, if I don't know. I think that might actually do it for this week's episode of the podcast. I am, I think I might go back there and cuddle up with my wife. She's already sleeping, and wake her up and tell her that I appreciate her. Because, after seeing the devastation in Fort Myers and Southwest Florida, I would not ever want her to go through anything like that. And bless her heart. All she wants to do is donate and contribute. Donate and contribute. And hell yeah, babe. Absolutely. I got the best wife in the world. She is definitely an angel. So, all right, folks, I think that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Deron Harris Podcast. I hope you had fun. I hope it was informative. It was wild business, but I'm still here, and my podcast is still here, and it's going to keep being here until it's not. So, in the meantime, in the in-between time, you guys do your thing, and stay safe out there. And all my people down in Fort Myers, Florida, and Southwest Florida, and Orlando, Florida, I love you all. And the people in Ponte Vedra and Charleston, South Carolina, or wherever it heads to next. That's the craziest shit about it. It went back, came here, slowed down to a tropical storm, and hit the water and turned back into a hurricane. Mother Nature. Amazing. But you need to respect that. Gotta respect that. So, God bless everyone that is in the path of these storms, or any storm, or any natural disaster. God bless y'all. And I'll talk to you folks next week. This has been the Deron Harris Podcast. Peace.